The hidden final of this World Cup between France and Spain turned out to be a truly fascinating tactical battle. Let's break it down. During the opening 10 minutes, Spain did not press aggressively. Instead, they mainly focused on closing the central areas and allowed France to build through the flanks. It's worth highlighting the role of the left winger, who prioritized blocking the half space and the passing lane into the half space, deliberately allowing France's right back to receive the ball in wide areas. At the same time, whenever France managed to progress from defense into attack, Spain's defensive line was ready to push higher, step into midfield, and deny French players the time and space needed to make decisions. It's also important to point out the tremendous defensive work from Spain's left winger. He tracked back relentlessly, followed every action until the very end, and constantly sprinted back to help defensively. From around the 15th minute, Spain started applying a much higher press against France. However, France consistently managed to play through it, mainly by using the goalkeeper. Spain's central midfielder Ruiz would always push forward and mark France's holding midfielder almost man-to-man. In these situations, the French goalkeeper became the key player, and he handled the role of an additional playmaker remarkably well. France's wingers and center forward frequently drifted toward the same side of the pitch, pinning Spain's backline. Rodri often found himself in a 1v2 situation in central midfield. Very often, the French goalkeeper looked for Rabiot, who drifted closer to the touchline to receive the ball in space. In this example, a single pass from the goalkeeper completely breaks the pressure and creates a potentially dangerous attacking situation for France. France looked incredibly dangerous in transition throughout the match. Here's an example where France combines with just one pass and almost sends Kylian Mbappe through on goal. This was another huge chance. Mbappe receives the ball with Spain's goalkeeper positioned very high off his line. He probably could have tried to chip the goalkeeper with his first touch, but the move eventually came to nothing. France's goalkeeper had a very positive game in terms of distribution. His passing repeatedly helped France escape pressure and launch attacks, just like in this sequence. A long pass, a quick link-up, and then another perfectly weighted through ball toward Mbappe. However, Spain's goalkeeper deserves enormous credit here for reading the situation perfectly and coming off his line to intercept the pass. Overall, Spain played with incredible courage. Why? Because they pressed high while maintaining an extremely high defensive line. That high line repeatedly caught France offside, while Spain also applied intense pressure on the player delivering the pass. As we can see here, the passer is under heavy pressure, and naturally the quality of his pass drops significantly when forced to play under those conditions. Just look at Spain's bravery, an aggressive offside line combined with a goalkeeper positioned far outside his penalty area. Even then, France failed to create anything from the situation. Notice how 4 Spanish players immediately recover and block the shooting lane. They get back extremely quickly. It's also worth mentioning that Michael Olise occasionally dropped deeper to receive the ball between the lines and combine with one-touch passes. That allowed France to progress from defense into attack, especially since the right back often occupied a very advanced position. It's worth noting that Spain's defensive line did not always step high to engage. Instead, they often held their shape around the halfway line, maintaining excellent defensive balance. However, once a player actually received possession, like Koundé in this example, Spain reacted immediately. The left back, together with the surrounding midfielders, closed him down as quickly as possible while cutting off every available passing option. As we can see here, Koundé is instantly surrounded by 3 Spanish players, and Spain successfully wins the ball back. Olise frequently tried to find pockets of space between the lines, helping France progress from defense into attack. The left winger played a crucial role here. As I mentioned earlier, his priority was always to block the central channel. Sometimes he executed it better, sometimes not, but that was consistently his main defensive task. In this sequence, Olise receives the ball, and once again France launch a quick transition. These situations were potentially very dangerous because players like Mbappe and Dembélé are extremely threatening whenever there's space behind the defensive line. The player on the ball often had the option to play a through pass, But today, many of those passes were intercepted. Rodri positioned himself brilliantly to cut out those balls. This was probably France's worst performance of the tournament in terms of passing accuracy. They especially lacked that decisive final pass. And of course, Maignan couldn't produce spectacular distribution for the entire match. He also had a few misplaced passes. In this example, Spain's left winger reacts quickly, shifts across, cuts off the passing lane, and wins possession. Whenever Spain recovered the ball, they often had numerical superiority in the opposition's half, allowing them to combine quickly. This sequence is a perfect example, a brilliant combination that ultimately ended with a blocked shot. Whenever France's attacking midfielder dropped deeper, Spain once again completely shut down the central passing options. Then we see France switch the point of attack with an excellent diagonal pass. The left back pushes forward, receives the ball facing the opposition's goal, and this leads to a very interesting situation. The ball is open. Spain are holding a high defensive line, and yet nobody attacks the space in behind. Here, Mbappe even gestures to the left winger to make the run, despite the fact that he could have attacked the space himself. Instead of creating a dangerous transition, France slows the game down into a positional attack, which eventually comes to nothing. It's also worth mentioning that this was probably Oliseh's weakest performance of the entire World Cup. He gave the ball away far too often, misplaced numerous passes, and finished with a low passing accuracy. Several of his turnovers in central areas during the first half could easily have led to dangerous Spanish attacks. Because of that, later in the first half, Dembélé started dropping much deeper. The idea was simple. If Olise wasn't having an effective game in that role, Dembélé could take over those responsibilities. Once again, we can see how hard Spain's wingers work defensively. Just look at how narrow Yamal plays here. He even steps in to try to intercept the ball. The defensive work of Spain's wingers throughout the match was genuinely outstanding. Even when France managed to reach the final third, Spain immediately flooded the area around the ball with players, making it extremely difficult to beat them individually. Inside the penalty area, the situation was usually 3 versus 3, yet France delivered very few crosses. Spain's defending inside their own half was equally impressive. Both wingers consistently tracked back and contributed defensively. Here we see the left winger engaging the opponent in a 1 versus 1 duel, while the left back immediately provides cover behind him. The exact same pattern appeared on the opposite flank. Another key point was how compact Spain defended as a team. The entire team dropped back together and worked collectively without the ball. That's one of the main reasons France created almost nothing in this match. Here's another important tactical detail: Spain's defensive priorities. When France's left back receives the ball in this sequence, Yamal immediately shifts inside to block the passing lane into central areas. Only after the central options had been completely closed did they aggressively press the ball on the flank. Perhaps the only thing that helped France in these situations was that their attacking midfielder drifted toward the ball, while the right winger also moved across to the left side, creating an overload and trying to combine with short passes. Even then, Spain's left winger made the difference with his incredible work rate and constant movement. Here, Dembélé receives the ball, while Spain's back four hold their line. The left winger immediately closes Dembélé down. In those situations, it's incredibly difficult to lift your head, assess the field, and deliver a precise pass when you're constantly under pressure in midfield. Finally, Spain managed their offside line brilliantly throughout the match. Time and time again, France's attacking players were caught offside by Spain's perfectly coordinated defensive line. When Spain had possession, the midfield triangle of Olmo, Rodri, and Ruiz was constantly on the move. They rotated positions throughout the game, and many of those line-breaking passes came from Spain's right center back, who delivered another phenomenal performance on the ball. Defensively, France lacked compactness. Their full-backs often held very wide positions, but the game was effectively decided by an early mistake from Dean. A cross comes into the box, and Dean is completely alone at the far post. There's no pressure on him whatsoever. All he has to do is judge the flight of the ball and clear it. Instead, the ball bounces awkwardly. Dean completely misjudges its trajectory and then desperately tries to clear the ball. Instead, he catches Yamal's leg with a low kick. It's a clear penalty. By the way, Lucas Dean lost almost every individual duel against Yamal. Spain took the lead very early because of it. Want to take your game to the next level? Improve your football IQ. Message me on Instagram for a free post-match trial session. We'll break down the match and key moments in detail on a one-on-one call. Don't just play the game, master it. Upgrade your game today. France struggled defensively in several aspects. During their high press, the right back consistently stepped high. But even in the opening minutes, there were clear communication issues. France defended with a man-to-man pressing scheme. In this sequence, however, Spain somehow creates a 2-versus-1 situation. As soon as Dembélé notices it, he immediately gestures to his teammates, asking how Spain's player is receiving the ball so freely when France are supposed to be pressing man-to-man. The answer is simple. One of France's players picked up the wrong opponent. The defensive assignments were incorrectly distributed in this moment. This is how the pressing structure should have looked. On the other hand, France was also proactive defensively. Their center backs stepped extremely high to engage opponents. Here, Upamecano follows Spain's left winger a long way from his defensive line, refusing to let him turn or play comfortably. In the second half, as France pushed forward in search of an equalizer, the distances between their defensive and midfield lines became even larger. That's when Olmo completely took over the game. He repeatedly found space between the lines, received comfortably, drove forward with the ball, showcased his outstanding first touch, turned away from defenders, and consistently played dangerous through passes. Spain's second goal also came from terrible defending by France. Spain's right back receives the ball, while France once again failed to stay compact in central areas. That allows Pedro Porro to drive inside and find a passing option between the lines. The receiver is Dani Olmo, who once again demonstrates his exceptional one-touch play. Olmo receives the ball, gets kicked as he releases it, yet still manages to deliver a perfectly weighted first-time pass. Now watch France's defenders. Every single player is watching the ball. It's as if they completely forget that Spain's right back is making a run in behind. Personally, I think Doué should have stayed with his original runner throughout the move, since he was responsible for him from the very beginning. He needed to stay switched on and follow that run all the way. There are also questions to be asked about France's center back. In these situations, he has to recognize that space has opened up behind the defensive line and immediately adjust his position. Instead, Spain combined with just 2 quick passes, send the right back through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and he calmly finishes the chance. Even in the closing stages, it was obvious that France no longer believed they could get back into the game. Dembélé would receive the ball out wide, yet nobody attacked the penalty area. There were no crosses, no flood of bodies into the box, just hopeful long-range shots that never seriously threatened Spain. Congratulations to Spain. An outstanding performance, superb defensive organization, and clinical finishing. France, on the other hand, delivered one of their worst performances in a very long time. All 4 of their attacking stars had an extremely disappointing match. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, let me know whether you think Spain can go on to win the World Cup, and subscribe for more in-depth football tactical analysis.